Hello everybody, this is General Yanis, and today in Death Card Tactics I'm continuing my looking into the Adeptus Mechanicus, the meta threat they pose, and today I'm looking at the Ironstrider Ballistarii, the unit with the chicken legs that has a very potent weapons, and being a core unit also it can be buffed quite a lot. So with no further ado, let's get started. So today is the 21st of July, so finally on vacation here in Denmark, which actually proves a good opportunity to teach the kids about Murphy's Law. So basically up until this week we have had very good weather, a hot weather spell in Denmark, but of course this ended as we arrived at the summer house. So of course the Murphy's Law is the same law that every time we finally decide to overcharge our plasma guns, suddenly we roll double ones and yeah, explode our own units. But as I said, so this has given a bit chance to continue the analysis of Adeptus Mechanicus. That seemed to be the army to beat at the moment, and they have had great success in grand tournaments recently. Their typical winning list use typically fast attack Ironstrider Ballistarii units for anti-vehicle shooting, and this in a combination with this big blobs of Skitarii that provide another type of shooting makes them a very big threat to almost any army. So in this video I will be taking a closer look at the Ironstriders. I'm going to be looking at their stats, their weapons, the combos, the damage output in general, and versus death card in particular, and then what type of death card counters do we have to face the Ironstrider. So let's take a look. So looking at the Ironstrider base stats and weapons, the Ironstrider are a fast attack unit, and there can be one up to 6 models in a unit. They are costing 65 points each if they have the twin cognis autocannon, but they can replace that with a twin cognis lascannon for 10 points more, so then they are 75 points per model. It's a fast unit with 10-inch movement, 3+ weapon skill, ballistic skill, 5 in strength, 6 in toughness, 6 wounds, 2 attacks, 8 leadership, and a 3+ save. And the two weapons, as I said, the autocannon is an assault 6 weapon with strength 7, AP -1, damage 2, and they have a very high range, and they are assault weapons. The twin cognis lascannon is one of the strongest lascannons in all of the, let's say, all the codexes. This one is a 48-inch range with assault 2, and this assault 2 also assault of course helps to move and shoot, and also to let's say advance and still be able to shoot. It has a strength 9, AP -3, and the damage is D3+3, so much better than your normal average lascannon. It has the Doctrina imperatives. They have a 6+ invul save. They can explode if the models are destroyed, and they give fellow Skitarii core units improved leadership and data tether keyword. And they are, very importantly, they have the core keyword themselves. They are a cheap, so basically a cheap and fast vehicle core unit with strong weapons, not so durable though, so only, let's say, toughness 6 and 6 wounds with a 6++ invul save, a good base armor save, but of course with high anti-vehicle weapons they will be probably saving a lot of their times with only their 6+ invul save. The autocannon, as I said, 65 points per model, is a more anti-marine type of weapon, and the strong cognis lascannon for 75 points per model, which makes it more an anti-vehicle unit. The offensive combos that the Ironstriders can get from the Admech Codex, for example, the Skitarii Marshal for 45 points, an HQ unit can give them reroll 1s to wound. Belisarius Cole has an aura giving reroll 1s to hit, and if it's a Mars Forge World, he can give select one core unit to reroll all to hit. The Doctrina, the access to these Doctrinas can get them improved ballistic skill for 1 battle round, so then they would be hitting on 2+ with rerolling 1s, for example. The penalty is to get -1 weapon skill, but they are not a very strong melee unit in any case. So this is a strong, let's say, strong doctrine for the shooty units. As a Mars world, the Skitarii get access to the Canticles and reroll 1 hit roll. This is especially also, this can also help, especially when they are shooting with lascannons, because yeah, rerolling one or two of the missed, let's say rerolling one of a missed hits can mean a big difference. One of the canticle is especially interesting, the benediction of the Omnissiah. For one battle round, they can reroll one hit roll, one wound roll, and one damage roll. So that's really strong, and especially, for example, also damage roll when they have the D3+3 weapon can make it even more hurting the damage output. The Wrath of March can give mortal wounds in addition, max 6 mortal wounds on 6:2 wound, but they, at least with the lascannon, there are not enough shots to get a very big benefits from the mortal wounds. The Ironstriders, for one command point, the stratagem allows the Ironstrider Ballistarii to advance the full 6 inches, and they don't have any penalty to shoot their assault weapons. So basically they could move 16 inches, get a nice line of sight and shoot their lascannons with no penalties for one command point. Defensively, they can also be buffed. So from the Doctrina, they could get improved save. So they would have a 2+ save for one round with a penalty of -3 inch movement. As the Mars world, the Skitarii, as I said, they get the canticle. There are some quite defensive canticles to give them the benefit of light cover, or -1 to be hit in melee for one battle round. The Lucius world, which is one of the most interesting right now and widely used. The Dogma improves the armor save against damage 1 weapons, but damage 1 weapons probably you wouldn't use so much against enemy vehicles like the Ironstrider. There is a Warlord trait in the Lucius world where the Warlord can select one core unit within 9 inches, and then it gets a transhuman basically ability, so it can only be wounded from 1s and 3s, or sorry, 4, 5s and 4 pluses basically, and this could help the Ironstriders survive more attacks from heavy weapons. Normally a strength 8, strength 9 weapon would be wounding them on a 3+, but now with this ability they could maybe only be wounded on a 4+. Looking now at the damage output of the Ballistarii here, so this is the baseline, no further buffs. Here we see with the green line here, it's the autocannon for 65 points, and with the blue line, it's the lascannon, and here we have the average damage for various units, and this is per 100 points, so this is point corrected. And what we can see here, the first 31 targets are the normal targets I'm usually simulating, and here I've added the death card units. Here we have, for example, the Plague Burst Crawler here, we have the Plague Marines, we have Poxwalkers here, etc. We have our Blightlord Deathshroud Terminators here with invul saves and disgusting resilience. What we can see is the autocannon with a damage 2 weapon is considerably better against normal targets, so to say, than Death Guard, where most of our units they have disgusting resilience, and therefore it's not a very strong, it's quite a lackluster weapon versus Death Guard to have the autocannon. But the lascannon, of course, is a strong anti-vehicle weapon, and we can see here for our vehicles it is considerably doing much more damage than the autocannon. For example, here we see our Plague Burst Crawlers, our Myphitic Blighthaulers, our Furtive Bloodthorns, the Contemptors, etc. Our Demon Prince, we have here the Rhino, much more exposed here because of these vehicles here don't have disgusting resilience. So the cognis lascannon, a unit of 2 Ironstriders will be doing around 4 to 5 wounds on Death Card Demon Engines baseline, before improving with rerolls and other abilities. The vehicles with no invuls, like the Rhinos, are in graver danger. They will be getting 7 to 8 wounds. The Myphitic Blighthaulers can be improved from this, and because we can use the defensive stratagem to reduce the incoming shots by 1. So every Ironstrider, instead of shooting 2 shots, would be basically only shooting 1 shot. and this is really strong. So then the Myphitic Blighthaulers would be getting 2 to 3 wounds, so they are quite durable, let's say from a group of 2 Ironstriders. So yeah, Myphitic Blighthaulers are probably our best unit defensively, best vehicle defensively versus the high strength twin cognis lascannon. Looking then at buffing the output of the lascannon, if we include reroll 1s to hit and reroll 1s to wound, of course we, as expected, get more damage across the table. This can be further improved with the +1 battle skill, ballistic skill Doctrina, and the Mars Canticles giving reroll, hit roll, wound roll, and 1 damage roll for 1 turn. This of course would make even higher damage for a B, and could be quite strong for a big unit of Ironstriders. And in this graph, I'm looking at the damage output of the Ironstriders, the blue line, and then here the orange line shows the Skitarii Vanguards with 20 Skitarii Vanguards with radium carbines with enriched round stratagem, which we saw in the previous video is very strong against our infantry or against our characters. And it's quite interesting how the Ironstrider complements the damage of the Skitarii Vanguards really well. So where we have, for example, the Ironstriders are good against Possessed and the Demon Prince, but not so good against our Plaguebearer Crawlers and our Demon Engines, but the Ironstrider is good versus those, and here we see again good versus vehicles, while the Skitarii Vanguards are good versus non-vehicles. So combining a lot of units of the Skitarii and a lot of models of Ironstrider, the Admech can pose a threat to basically any unit in the game. Then looking at the Hall of Fame, so the Ironstrider with the lascannon, looking at the shooting at long range, the 24-inch, the average damage across the General Yanis 31 targets compensated for 100 points. Being quite a cheap unit and a strong lascannon weapon gives it a spot close to the Plaguebearer Crawler and Defiler in the Hall of Fame, near the top, together with the Plaguebearer Crawler, but not as strong in baseline as Eradicators and Retributors or the Contemptor with the Volkites. But of course, as a core unit, it can be further and easily buffed above the starting level, whereas, for example, the Plaguebearer Scroll and a Defiler cannot get much better damage output. And here we are looking at the death card units shooting or attacking the Ironstrider, and this is baseline damage with no rerolls, but I have applied the contagion of -1 toughness for the melee damage outputs. So what we can see in the shooting range, let's say entropy cannons are very strong versus Ironstriders, and with a D3+3 damage output, they can potentially take out an Ironstrider with 1 lucky shot. There is 1/3 chance to take them out if it goes through, to make a 6 damage outright and just kill the Ironstrider. Meltas are also a good choice, especially within half range, so we get a D6+2 damage output. And this is, for example, the Myphitic Blighthaulers can do quite a good damage here at 12 inches, 5.5 wounds on average. The Plaguebearer Crawler shooting everything at the Ironstrider makes 7 damage output. And as we saw previously, the Myphitic Blighthaulers are also one of the units that are most durable to Ironstrider fire, thanks to the defensive stratagem. The Contemptor and Defiler are also good from range. The Hellbrute with Missile Melta can also work, but will be, of course, more vulnerable as it doesn't have an invul save. Plague Marines with plasmas and blight launchers can do quite good damage also against the Ironstriders, and the 30 blow drone also with a heavy blight launcher. The blight launchers and plasmas are also efficient versus shooting at the Ironstriders with only a toughness 6 model. In melee, as always, the death card can quickly take out enemy units. For example, 5 Death Shrouds attacking with a strong profile would be doing 18 wounds on average, taking out 3 Ironstriders basically. We can see Mortarion with his heavy melee strong profile. He can take a very big unit of Ironstriders out if they can come in melee. The Plague Marines in melee are also very cost efficient. Here you see the damage output not point corrected, and here we correct it per 100 points. So the most effective in close combat are the Death Shroud, the Spawn, and the Plague Marines with melee weapons. So as always, in melee we can do really a lot in shooting. We see the Plague Scrollers, the Myphitic Blighthaulers, and other shooty vehicles that can take out the enemy Ironstriders. So, reaching to the summary and final thoughts of this video, the Ironstrider Ballistarii with a twin cognis lascannon pose a quite strong and potent threat to vehicles, and also very nicely complement the damage threat to non-vehicles posed by the Skitarii vanguards. So big blobs of Skitarii are a big threat to basically anything, everything except vehicles, but here the Ironstrider step in with her twin cognis lascannon and fill out this gap. It's also a core unit and can receive plenty of buffs on top of that to increase its damage output. A fast unit with a good range, 48 inches, and can advance and shoot the assault twin lascannon with stratagems getting no penalty for doing so. So it's fast, it can maneuver a lot, find some good shots, and maybe also hide quickly. With several Ironstriders models in a unit, demon engines can be taken out, Plague Scrollers, Blow-drones, etc. Probably the unit that is most protected in the Death Card Codex are the Myphitic Blighthaulers, where we can utilize the strat to reduce the incoming shots to 1 by Ironstriders, so they can only fire once per their twin lascannon. Vehicles that don't have discussing resilience, don't have a good inval save, don't have an inval save, for example the Rhinos are very vulnerable, but let's say thankfully the Ironstriders are not very durable. They only have a toughness 6, only let's say 6 wounds thankfully, and only a 6+ inval save, and thus quite vulnerable to heavy fire like the entropy cannons and the meltas and missiles, etc. Additionally, with let's say only a toughness 6, medium strength or medium strength weapons that our infantry also can carry, like the plasmas, the blight launchers, reaper autocannons, etc., can also do useful wounds on the Ironstriders shooting. The Plague Scroller, as always, seems to be a useful unit. Versus the Admech, it could shoot its mortar at the Skitarii blobs, getting the blast weapon there, and hopefully get line of sight to shoot its entropy cannons at the Ironstriders. The Myphitic Blighthaulers can play probably more aggressively versus the Ironstriders. They can maybe come more closer to the enemy, and they have the good defensive stratagem to avoid taking too much damage, and hopefully they can score some good hits in return for in half range, the d6 + 2 damage meltas. The Contemptor with Volkites, always useful, like a jack of all trades, can also take out Ironstriders from a distance. And as with so many other units in melee, plenty of our own units can take out the Ironstriders and do a lot of wounds if we can come up close and personal. For example, that a big unit of Death Shroud can really tear Ironstriders apart. Also melee Plague Marines, Chaos Spawn, etc. A lot of our units can do plenty of damage, close and personal. So this concludes the video. What do you think about the Ironstriders? What do you think about the analysis and the death card counters to it? Let me also know your experience, if you have been facing them in the battlefield. How have you been faring, and have you been able to use, for example, the Myphitic Blighthaulers with a stratagem to reduce the incoming damage shots? If you like this video, please press like and subscribe to the channel, where I will be bringing you many videos of death card tactics and meta watch, math hammer type videos like this one. If you want to further support my efforts, please visit my Patreon page. And yeah, with these words, General Yanis is signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.